Behind the family. Secrets, rules, and the future. 6 in the morning. First thing I do is check my messages to see if the boss needs anything. He never does, but I still check, because the one day I don't, that'll be the day he actually texts. 7 o'clock. Coffee time. But I can't sit down. I have to stand facing the door, just in case someone walks in and asks why I'm relaxing. In this family, relaxing is suspicious. 8 o'clock. Morning meeting. Everyone shows up. Nobody talks. We just nod at each other like we're agreeing on something important. I'm not even sure what we're agreeing on, but the nodding feels official. Then the real day begins. My phone rings. It's Lefty. He says, "Hey, you're coming with me today." And I think, finally, a big assignment, something serious. I put on my best jacket. I prepare myself mentally. I'm ready for anything. Then Lefty says, "We're out of bread. Go buy some for the whole crew." So I go. I wait in line. I carry 10 bags back. I'm sweating. I'm tired. I'm proud. I walk in, expecting applause. And the moment I step through the door, everyone looks at me like I disappeared for a year. Lefty shouts, "Where were you? We're starving." And that's when I realize something important. In this family, the small tasks matter more than the big ones, because if you mess up the small things, nobody has the energy to do the big things. People think loyalty is dramatic. They imagine big speeches, big promises, big moments. But real loyalty is quiet. I was given a secret to protect. Nothing huge, nothing world-ending, just something the boss didn't want floating around. And the moment people sensed I knew something, everyone suddenly became my best friend. "Hey, what did the boss say? I heard you were in his office. Come on, just tell me a little." I kept saying the same thing. I don't know anything. And that was the correct answer. Not because it was true, but because loyalty isn't about telling the truth. It's about knowing when not to speak. Then came the day everything shifted. Someone in the family broke loyalty. Not loudly, not publicly, just quietly stepped out of line. We all gathered. Nobody talked. We just looked at each other, waiting for the boss to say something. He finally spoke, and he said, "Disloyalty doesn't start with an action. It starts with a thought." That line stayed with me, because it meant loyalty isn't tested in big moments. It's tested in the small ones, in the tiny choices, in the things nobody sees. In this family, loyalty is currency. Everyone knows its value. Everyone knows its cost. And everyone knows, once you spend it the wrong way, you can't earn it back. There are rules everyone knows. And then there are rules nobody dares to say out loud. Rule 1. Never sit in the boss's chair. Even if he's not there. Even if the chair is empty. Especially if the chair is empty. Rule 2. Never ask why. In this family, why is the fastest way to become the center of attention, and nobody wants that kind of attention. Rule 3. Never touch Lefty's cup. Nobody knows what's in it. Nobody wants to know, and the safest choice is to pretend the cup doesn't exist. These rules aren't written anywhere. They don't need to be. Everyone learns them the same way, by watching someone else break them. One day I asked Ghost a question. I said, "Is there one rule that matters more than all the others?" He didn't answer at first. He just stared at me, like he was deciding whether I was ready to hear it. Then he finally said, "The most important rule is knowing when to disappear." I didn't understand at the time, but the longer I stayed in this family, the more it made sense. Some rules protect you, some rules guide you, but the real rule, the one nobody writes down, is the rule that keeps you alive. It's not about following orders, it's about understanding the game before the game understands you. Rumors started spreading. Someone said the boss wanted to retire. Someone else said he was tired. And suddenly the whole family acted like the world was ending. Lefty pulled me aside and whispered, "If the boss retires, who's going to yell at us?" And honestly, I didn't have an answer, because nobody could imagine this place without him. People started guessing who would take over, who would lead, who would make decisions, who would keep everyone from falling apart. And the more they talked, the more nervous everyone became. Then the door opened. The boss walked in, and the entire room froze. He looked at all of us and said, "I'm not retiring. I'm just stepping back so I can see things more clearly." That one sentence changed everything, because it meant he wasn't leaving, he wasn't disappearing, he wasn't handing anything over. He was simply shifting positions. Not gone, not distant, just watching from a place we couldn't see. And that's when it hit me. In this world, power doesn't vanish. It doesn't fade. It doesn't retire. It just moves, quietly, silently, to a different angle. And the boss, he never really leaves. He just chooses a better view. Every story has a beginning. Ours started with one stick figure, alone. No crew, no allies, no power. Just a simple thought. If no one is going to protect me, then I'll build something that can. He didn't dream of ruling anything. He didn't want a throne. He didn't want respect. He just wanted safety. A place where he didn't have to look over his shoulder every minute. A place where fear didn't control him. And slowly, others found him. Not because he was strong, not because he was rich, but because they felt the same fear he did. They didn't join for money. They didn't join for glory. They joined because standing alone was harder than standing together. That was the first family, a group of stick figures who weren't brave, but were tired of being scared. And here's the part nobody ever tells you. This family wasn't built on strength. It wasn't built on power. It wasn't built on ambition. It was built on shared weakness, shared fear, shared memories of nights when nobody came to help. That's why they stayed loyal, not because of rules, not because of threats, not because of tradition. They stayed because the past hurt too much to risk losing the only place that finally felt safe. And that is how a mafia begins. Not with dominance, but with vulnerability. Not with control, but with a promise. If you stand with me, I'll stand with you. The future always arrives quietly. One day you look around and suddenly the room is full of faces you've never seen before. They move faster, they talk louder, they take risks nobody asked for, and somehow they remind us of who we used to be. Lefty looked at them and said, "They're just like me back in the day." And honestly, he wasn't wrong. The same energy, the same confidence, the same confusion, the same belief that they already know everything. But that's how every new generation starts. Not with order, but with chaos. Not with wisdom, but with the illusion of it. And then came the moment that mattered. I stood in front of them, not as the kid who used to run errands, not as the one who used to nod in meetings, but as the boss. I didn't give a speech. I didn't lecture them. I didn't tell them how things should be. I just placed a hand on one shoulder and said, "Don't try to become me. Become what this family needs when I'm no longer here." And the room changed, not because of the words, but because they understood something important. The future isn't something you predict, it's something you prepare for, step by step, person by person, generation by generation. And when the time comes to pass the torch, you don't hand over power, you hand over responsibility, you hand over trust, you hand over the weight you've been carrying. And that's how a family survives, not by holding on to the past, but by teaching the next ones how to build the future. Thank you for walking with us through every secret, every rule, every moment behind the family. You've seen where we came from. You've seen how we survived. You've seen what loyalty means, what fear creates, and how a series is built one generation at a time. This world exists because you chose to stay, because you chose to listen, because you chose to be part of something bigger than a story. And if you want this universe to keep growing, if you want the family to continue expanding, if you want the next chapter to open, leave a sign. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Every gesture tells us you're still here. Every click tells us the family still matters. Every message tells us the story isn't finished. This is not the end. It's only the end of this chapter. The next one begins when you decide it should. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being part of this journey. Wishing you a warm and peaceful evening. With respect and gratitude, I bid you farewell.